Diario is an acronym that stands for Directed Notes, Independent Reflection, Assisted Engagement, Re-engagement Autonomously, Instructional Vehicle by Ormsby. The Diario is a primary learning tool in all of the ALAKIMO courses. The journal, or diario, should be turned as soon as possible after arrival on campus before first period. Unless prior arrangements or considerations have been addressed with Kimo, the diario will be considered late if turned in after first period. Now we will outline how to complete the various segments and parts of the journal. First, count and begin on page 4, skipping the first 3 pages. Their use will begin addressed later. You may only use pencil to complete the journal, and it is preferred that you print neatly. On page 4, identify the top most usable row and the left most usable column. So we'd skip 3 pages first. 1, 2, 3. So we identify the top most usable row, which would be this one right here, and the left most usable column would be this one right here. So we would start by writing Roman numeral 1 right here in la fecha. Then we would skip a few lines in order to write the date, and then write el día, which would be used to write either Monday or Tuesday or so forth. So since you are first year students, you would have to write the lesson, which would be T-O-2 la cara. So as I've written, you do not have to use one box per letter. You would use you would just use it as you're writing regularly. So after you skip one line, since you must always skip a line no matter what, you would write E, S, C, D. And then you would write the objective of that day's lesson. Next, you would skip a line and write el sustantivo. So on that day's lesson, you would write any of the sustantivos that are there, skipping lines. And then next to that, you write el infinitivo. From there, you would also write the rest that are on the lesson and skipping lines. So after you're done copying part 1, you would move down to almost the end of the page and write Roman numeral 2, and then el diario. There, they would give you many ways to start your sentences, like hoy aprendí, and then 3 more other ways. This page is going to be used as a reflection and would be done at home, not in class, not in school, but as home, in order to show what you have learned. Using all this, you would go to part 3. You would write 3 normal Roman numerals on the side, and then you would skip one line and write 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and so forth. You are going to copy it as it is written on the ALAKIMO website, and then you'd write mandato 2 and yo. And for this part, as Kimo has stated in class, you will just do what he instructs. And then you go to half the page and you write Roman numeral 4, and you write 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, and as I said, it would show on the computer as what you need to write, so maybe it would be mandato 2 and yo. As there are extra space on the page, you can use that in order to draw pictures of what nouns or verbs you have, in order to remember what you need to do in order to do your homework. So number 1 and number 3 would be in class, because number 1 is learning the lesson, and number 3 is actually applying it in order to do your homework, and that would be checked by Kimo and to show that you know what you're doing. Number 2 and number 4 would be done at home in order to show what you've learned and to practice Spanish at home. So from here, we'd go to the índice. At the índice, you would have to go back to page 1, and it consists of 8 columns of various widths. The title for each columns are indicated with their corresponding spacing width. The first 4 columns are each 2 blocks wide. The next 2 columns are each 8 blocks wide, and the last column is only 1 block wide. Here you may use ink and rulers to delineate each column group. Note that stands for the grade marked on your assignment below the lesson code. Normally it would be a star, a plus, a squiggle, or a minus. You would usually write that after skipping a line for each lesson. The fecha would be a numeric day in a day-month format. An example is if it is August 26, it would be 26.8, the day going before the month separated by a period. The dia would be a 3-letter designator for the day of the week. The lesson was assigned el lunes, so you just write L-U-N. For the number, it would be the alphanumeric lesson code. Example was what we just did was T02, so you'd write that on the number. The asunto would be the name or subject of the lesson. So we just did la cara, so you would write la cara next to TO2, but on the asunto side. For the persona, it designates the person of the verb form, such as yo, tú, nosotros, vosotros, él, ellos, usted, ellos, ellos, ustedes. So what we just did was yo and tú, so you'd write yo and tú on the persona. For the forma, it indicates the verb tense studied. An example is preterito, indefinido, and presente. So since we just did presente, we'd write presente right here. And for I/S, it denotes whether the verb form is indicativo or subjunctivo. The ES1, ES2 would just be I, and ES3 and ES4 would be specified, so you write I right here. And remember to skip lines and only use 1 line per lesson. Recording the complete assignment should probably be accomplished upon finishing section 2. And this is your diario.